I would like to spend some time talking to you about what we call total surveillance society. In fact, just today in the Globe and Mail, there was a front page article about the fact that the government is trying to push a bill or pass a law that would allow the government to tap onto your internet communications. Just in case some people ask themselves the question whether what I'm going to be mentioning here is going to happen or not, or at least they have the intention. The degree that we are under surveillance is growing every day, and the structure of our growing surveillance is moving toward one end: total surveillance of every public action and a startling amount of your private actions. Recently, we have seen the problems of increased surveillance far sooner than we have seen the advantages, such as the revelation that CSIS was using wiretaps to listen on the conversations between individuals held on national security certificates and their lawyers. Just for those who may not be aware, we have our own version of indefinite detention in Canada. It's called, it's basically a minister could issue a certificate based on some information that a person is a threat to society, and this person could be held indefinitely. So we are told recently, I think about 6 weeks ago, we found out through a court order, or through court motion, that CSIS was listening on the conversation between these people and their lawyers. That is supposed to be protected. And of course, the reason that CSIS gave is because of national security. So I always wonder what kind of national security information they're looking for. Will this person be talking to the lawyer about what? About a plot? This is just an example to show that their definition of national security seems to be different from ours. So everything becomes justifiable, basically. Now, in terms of public surveillance, we have become more and more accustomed to video cameras to the point where we can no longer even notice them. Some are quite useful in our daily lives, such as weather cameras that we can access through the internet nowadays, or security cameras in urban areas where both men and women are at risk of assaults and other crimes. The presence of these cameras, when obvious, can deter crime. Where they are hidden, they can also help bring criminals to justice. Most of us, if asked, would likely support the presence of these cameras, and many of us might even offer the opinion that we need more of them. However, the type of surveillance that is truly on the increase is not just this public type, but a more private type. It involves more than just video. It involves data from your telephone records, data about your travel history, data about where you work, who your friends and acquaintances are, what you purchase and where you purchase it, what books you buy and from what publishers, the magazines that you read, and the very words that you use on the telephone or on the internet. By the way, have you heard about this new term called guilt by Google? It's out there. Be careful what you search for. In fact, I'm quite nervous sometimes at home. My son is very fascinated with skyscrapers and bridges, and I'm not joking. It is reality. And he keeps typing all of those keywords, and what do I tell him? You know, he's 7 years old, and so just to tell you, it's real. All of this data combined with variables like your ethnic background, your education, your age, your religion, your political leanings, sometimes based on just the available public record. If you think that this is not available, you are sadly mistaken. In the US, major telecom companies have already provided the government with access to their core network, providing them with a rich supply of data, both voice and digital communications. And that's exactly what our government is trying to implement. It's exactly, if you read the Globe and Mail article, it mimics 100% what the US has done. The US government has also bought vast amounts of commercial transaction information as well. And many companies volunteer to supply their data. Knowing that all major credit card companies are US-based, in fact they're US companies, it is safe to assume that your purchasing habits and transactions are not private anymore. All of this data about you becomes a profile, a model of who you are based on available demographic and psychographic characteristics of similar profiles. And what we need to understand most clearly is that this technology is not meant just to help convict suspects. It is meant to predict suspects and prevent their potential actions. It is meant to look at each and every one of us and declare a degree of risk and to watch for changes in data that might signal an impending threat. In other words, you and I are not judged. We're not anymore judged on what we have done, but we are judged on what we might do. And that is a very dangerous slope. Now, once our surveillance systems have the means to predict within a certain margin of error, they will no doubt be used to detect potential threats, we are told. But how do we calculate the margin of error? And how do you make up for the error? By the way, this is real. It's happening here in Canada. Some educational institutions like the University of Ottawa, where I'm doing my PhD, has received funding. And apparently there are some professors who are specializing in this kind of techniques and technologies. So this is real. The government is spending a lot of money on those gadgets. In my own case, an entire team of human investigators, now I'm talking about human agents which are supposed to be more intelligent than machines. In my own case, an entire team of human investigators flagged me as a terrorist and followed my abduction and torture in Syria with interest. When the allegations against me fell apart, anonymous members of the national security apparatus went so far as to leak misleading information about me to the press. First, to prevent my return to Canada, and next, to discredit my protests of innocence. It took years and an official public inquiry to clear my name. Are we so much better prepared and equipped now that the statistical leads provided by complex data mining algorithms that actual investigators have no hope of comprehending, will suddenly provide the security that we hope for?